can't stop laughing because it just hit me now. I'm looking at the press conference, and after today's meeting, I'm realizing that when the U.S. representatives walked away, the Russians kind of showed their hand, saying that they were kind of scared of Ukraine. And they didn't say it in that sense, but if you go back to the press conference, the Russian representative stated that the U.S. representatives were going to go back to Washington, that they made a promise not to go to Ukraine. And that like as itself doesn't seem odd, but when you start thinking, it's because they know the stuff that they told to the U.S. representatives is total BS, and they don't want to be checked with real facts. So they really want the U.S. representatives to go straight back to Trump to tell them all the great things they talked about, instead of actually being educated about the real things that's actually truly happening. Like every time that Steve Witkoff goes home, he always has some kind of wrong information because either the Russians manipulate him or they have a translator that's a Kremlin translator, which he's not supposed to do. And for the Russians to say that they promised to go back to Washington almost seems like that Putin said to them, now, please make a pinky promise. Do not talk to Ukraine. Just go back to Trump and tell him exactly everything we said here. Which tells me Putin is scared that Ukraine would then tell Trump or Witkoff what exactly is actually truly happening. And then that would stop that 5 hours, even though those 5 hours, a whole conversation plus Putin being late 3 hours, it didn't mean anything, considering that there's been no change. There's no compromise. Russia does not want to compromise at all. But yeah, it just made me laugh thinking that the Russians had to make a pinky promise to not go to Ukraine with this information. Yeah. Let me know what you think about this. I find it extremely fascinating. We are hearing from the Russians, who straight up just said, no compromise. That's where we're at this very moment. No compromise. But let's go ahead and actually break down what their own press release said. Russian officials said that the meeting had lasted 5 hours in order for them to really give both sides a chance to thoroughly discuss, quote, what they call a long-term settlement for the crisis in Ukraine. They described these conversations as useful, constructive, and informative. But here's the important part. Several versions of the Ukrainian peace plan were on the table. They said several. Russia says they actually received 5 different documents, including, they said it was a 27-point plan, not a 28-point plan, but still, it's probably the same proposal. They didn't discuss the exact wording of the documents, and speaking to reporters, they actually didn't even give anyone the key points that they were talking about, just that they were talking about them in general. The important thing of this meeting is the results, in which the Russian says there's still no compromise. They say that some American ideas do work for Russia's, others do not. The biggest thing, the whole territorial thing. Russia, they still want to have land given to them first, and then they can discuss a ceasefire, something which is the exact opposite of what Europe and Ukraine wants. I also need to add that Putin had used this meeting to tell the United States that Europe, well, they're being really destructive when it comes to peace talks. He is clearly angry that Europe is now kind of getting ready to do preemptive strikes or just countering Russian strikes before they happen. The one noticeable moment we need to talk about, which is the fact that, yes, they brought up the future economic cooperation between the United States and Russia, essentially saying that there are a lot of back-channeling talks about this cooperation, which is something that we kind of knew for quite some time. It only became public about a week and a half ago, and now Russia's just straight up recognizing it, saying, yeah, well, we are working on things on the back end. What does this mean moving forward? Well, after this meeting, it seems like we're not further apart from finally getting to some kind of peace, but we didn't get closer. We know that U.S. officials are going to be going back to the United States to tell Trump how things went. Russia is going to mull over some of the points that the U.S. made, and maybe sometime down the line there could be some kind of potential Trump-Putin meeting, but even they said that all of that meeting depends on the progress of peace. So yeah, really nothing happened during this meeting, and I need to add, it definitely was a spit in the face of the United States for Putin to show up 3 hours late. But clearly he's angry with Europe right now, and I guess kind of wanted to set the tone of the meeting before he got in. But let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. I'll be sure to keep you updated, so please do share my videos and follow me for more.